friends! Welcome to Canary at Home. My name's Lacey, and today we're going to be making painted wooden bead jewelry. Today I'm proudly wearing a wooden bead necklace that my 5-year-old son Felix gave to me. As you're making your piece of jewelry today, perhaps it'll be a necklace, it could be a bracelet, it could be a keychain. I hope you'll think about someone special that you could give your jewelry to. One of the most special gifts that you could give to someone is something that you've made with your own 2 hands. Something that you've created with all of that effort and all of your imagination and all of your love. So the materials that will be included in your Canary at Home kit are a wonderful assortment of wooden beads, liquid watercolors. Today we have pink, gold, and turquoise, a small paintbrush, some beading cord, and because you might choose to gift your project, we're including a small gift box with some stickers to decorate, some tissue paper to wrap your jewelry up inside of it, and a ribbon to tie the package up in a bow. A few additional things that you might need that you have at home are a paper plate or something to paint your beads on, something with a lip so the beads don't roll off, water, possibly a spoon, and then also you might want to include some oil pastel or Sharpie marker for small details. So let's get started. The first part is going to be painting and decorating our wooden beads. Now, we like to use this liquid watercolor paint when we're using these wooden beads because the wood really absorbs that liquid watercolor nicely. It's kind of like a stain. You can use any kind of paint though. If you had tempera, even some food coloring diluted would work. I'm gonna start with some pink, and one way is just by brushing the color all around onto your beads. You could do this whole bead pink, or you could do half pink and half blue, or you could mix your colors. Let's see what happens when we mix. And I'm gonna grab some of this turquoise, and let's see when we mix those colors together what color we might find. Maybe I'll add a little more pink. I see some purple starting to reveal itself, but the blue was overpowering. There we go. Now this liquid watercolor, especially if you're handling beads, you can expect to get your hands a little bit messy. That's okay, it comes off after a couple washes. And once you have painted your whole bead, you might find that you're finished. There are also ways that you can paint your bead without your paintbrush. And I'm going to drop those beads into the turquoise paint. And I'm gonna roll them around, which is really fun to see the way the turquoise covers those spheres. You can use your spoon to take those beads out and drop them onto your plate or surface. Another way you could paint the beads is by using a pipette. Some of you may have gotten this with our lantern kit, or you might have one at home. So for painting the beads with a pipette, you can leave your bead on the plate. So when you're using the pipette, you'll put the tip of the pipette into the paint, squeeze the top bubble, leave it in the paint while it sucks the paint up, and then I can drip, squeeze that bubble again, and that spills the paint out onto the bead. And then you have a fun puddle, and you can kind of roll that around on your plate. Another way you could add color and layers to your beads is by using drawing materials that you have at home, like we talked about the oil pastel, to draw onto your beads before you paint. I'm gonna take this bead and I'm gonna use my oil pastel along the top edge. It makes a nice bright mark on that wood. And then And I'm gonna choose some pink and paint on top of that oil pastel to see what happens. Usually oil pastel will push away the water-based paint, which makes for a beautiful effect. If you wanted to make a more precise pattern, you might use a Sharpie marker. Say I wanted some dots on this bead. I'll give it some green dots first. Now that I have my pattern, I'm going to drop that bead into this gold paint and swirl it around to give it some shimmer. As you're choosing how to paint and decorate these beads, you might think of that person that you're going to gift this jewelry to and what colors or patterns that they might like best. Maybe there's a pattern you want to use. In that case, you might have to think about what colors you're going to use for each bead, specific colors. Or you can just paint each bead in whatever way your heart tells you to. One of my favorite surprises from doing this project on a paper plate is that the paper plate becomes an artwork itself. When those beads roll around, those wet painted beads, they create these beautiful watery trails of paint that mix together in lots of different ways. Once you have painted all of your beads and they're just the way you like them, you might want to wait for them to dry a little bit. But one thing I like about this liquid watercolor is that it absorbs into the wood pretty quickly and you can work with it almost immediately. So now it's time to bead, to put your beads onto a beading cord to make your necklace or your bracelet or whatever type of jewelry you decide to do. Today I'm going to show you how to make a necklace with your beading cord and your beads. The beading cord that we have included will be, see how it stays kind of stiff like that? That makes it easier to put the bead through the cord. If you had like a floppy yarn, it wouldn't be as easy. We've also included in your pack a pipe cleaner if you want to practice your beading on that. There's two different ways that I'm going to show you how to make a necklace today. One is by taking a bead and making what's called an anchor bead on the end of your beading cord. You might need help from a grown-up if you're not used to tying knots yet. So you just take the bead, you put it on the end, and then you tie that on. I'm not even going to tie it on all the way because I'm going to take that off later. So that when you add your beads and they fall onto your beading cord, they don't fall off the end. With this method, you can continue adding your beads in whatever order you'd like until they all fall on to your necklace. Now the second method is a midpoint anchor. So as you can see on this necklace, there is a bead that is tied to the middle of the necklace and that sort of weights it down, and then beads are stacked on either side. Your bead kit might include kind of hoops like this or circular shapes like this. These are really great to use for your middle anchor point, but you could also use just the regular spherical beads also. So for this method, you're going to take the two ends of your beading cord. You're going to pull them up and through this loop until you have a loop that comes up like this, and then you are going to slide those two ends through that loop and it'll create a bound anchor point. Now I have two sides that I can bead onto. You just want to make sure that each side has about the same amount of beads so that it's balanced. So I have two sides, and now if I think about that balance, I'm going to use one of each of these on each side. This one on the right side, this one on the left side. Pushing this through and having a hard time getting that cord through because there's a little something stuck on that bead, so I'm going to try to get that out of the way. Another thing you could do is maybe flip it over and try it from the other side if you're having any trouble getting the cord through. looking at my necklace and I think it looks pretty balanced. I'm gonna count the beads. We've got the 1 in the middle, and on this side I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and on this side I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have an extra bead, but I'm not gonna put it on because then it won't be balanced. If you don't care about balance, don't worry about it. You can make yours asymmetrical, that's fine too. It might be really fun to make beads all the way up this side. But I want mine to be symmetrical. That means the same on both sides. So I am finished. Okay, so to tie it off at the top, you might need a little help from a grown-up, again, if you're not used to tying knots. So tying a knot, usually we crisscross the two sides and then pull it around like that. We're actually gonna do it a different way. We're gonna take both of those sides, hold them together like this, and then wrap them together to create a knot around itself. You just want to make sure there's enough cord to slide it over your head, so you might want to measure that as you're going. What do you guys think? Oh, I love it. I love it so much that I might want to keep it for myself. No. I started to make this for my mom. And I think my mom will really love it too. So sometimes it's hard. It's hard to give things away. But I think she'll be so happy that it'll make me happy too. Okay, let's wrap it. Because getting a beautiful package is almost as important as getting a beautiful gift. Voila! A beautiful gift in a beautiful package. I hope you have fun making it. I hope you put a lot of love and a lot of effort and a lot of thought into it. And I hope it brings joy to whoever is lucky enough to receive your gift. Thanks for making with us, friends. And we hope you'll share your creations with us on Instagram at Canary Art. Grown-ups, as you can see, this project is simple but so beautiful, and it really works for ages 3 and up. As long as the children are old enough not to put things in their mouth, they'll find a lot of joy and wonder and learn a lot from painting the beads. Even just the action of rolling the beads in the paint will be really fun for them. The trailing of the paint and also the way that the colors mix together. That's all great. They won't be as concerned about the finished product, but no worries. Adults love this project, so feel free to hijack it and do it for yourself.